Did you lose her interest? It's not your looks or your money. It's what you said. Here are the 5 fatal mistakes a man must never make. Stick around. If you have ever wondered why a woman can suddenly lose all interest even though you haven't done anything wrong, here's the truth. It's neither your looks nor your money nor your status. It's what you say. A single erroneous confession, a cursed truth, and in a few seconds, she no longer sees you in the same way. Today, I'm going to reveal the 5 things you must never say to a woman, because by avoiding them, you will not only not lose her respect, but you will maintain her desire for you forever. So hit a like on this video if you like this kind of content. Also, I have left you an ultimate guide in the pinned comments of this video about the art of talking to women. In this guide, you will find everything you need. Now let's get to the core. And the core, my friend, starts with the biggest lie we've been sold in recent years. A lie that sounds good in theory, but is pure poison in practice for attraction. We are told that to connect with a woman, you have to be an open book. Show her your wounds, your doubts, your vulnerable side. It's a trap. A very well-designed trap that confuses intimacy with weakness. That's why the first secret, the cornerstone upon which everything else is built or collapses, is this. Never confess your deepest insecurities to her. I know what you're thinking, but being honest is good, right? How will she trust me if I don't show her who I really am? Listen carefully. It's one thing to be honest about your intentions, your values, your goals. It's quite another to make her carry the weight of your inner demons. When you tell a woman things like, I have a terrible fear of not being good enough, or sometimes I feel like everything I've built could collapse, and I wouldn't know what to do, you're not creating a connection. You're sowing doubt. At that precise moment, she may hug you, console you, say beautiful words, but deep down in her mind, in that primal place that she doesn't control with logic, you have just turned on a red alert. You have shown her a crack in the armor of the man who is supposed to be her rock. And that image, once created, is almost impossible to erase. Unconsciously, she will start testing you, questioning your decisions, wondering if you can really handle the situation. And when real life hits, when the real problems arrive, money, family, the future, who do you think she will turn to for security? The man who confessed that his foundations were shaking, or the one who, despite the difficulties, always showed control and direction? This is where someone like Machiavelli would laugh at modern advice. He knew that power and influence are not just the strength you have, but the strength others perceive in you. By giving her the map of your innermost fears, you are not being authentic. You are voluntarily giving up your power. You give her and the world permission to doubt you. This does not mean becoming an emotionless robot. It means you must be selective and strategic. Your internal battles, your existential doubts, you fight them in silence on your own training ground. You deal with them at the gym by lifting weights until your body silences your mind. You write in a journal to give them shape and understand them. Or you discuss them with a brother in arms, a mentor, a trusted man who has been through the same thing. But to her, the woman whose desire and respect you want to keep, you show the result of that battle: calm, decisiveness, certainty. She doesn't need to see the bloody process of forging the sword. She needs to feel the solidity of its blade when life demands it. So the next time you feel the urge to confide in her and reveal your darkest fears for momentary relief, stop and ask yourself, what do you prefer? 5 minutes of consolation or a lifetime of respect and desire? What I have just told you goes against everything you have been programmed to believe. If it resonates with you, if a part of you knows this is the raw truth that no one dares to say, then this is your place. Subscribe to this channel because here we don't give advice to please. We give strategies to win. Activate the bell because the next secret I'm going to reveal is even more uncomfortable to hear and much more powerful to apply. You understand that your fears are sacred territory that you should not share lightly. Now let's talk about your past, your tangible value. This is where women, with unsettling subtlety, launch their sharpest tests. And there are 2 questions, 2 seemingly innocent subjects that are actually deadly traps. Your past with other women and your financial situation. Let's start with the first one. That question that comes sooner or later, usually with a curious little smile. And how many women have you been with? Be careful. There is no good answer to this question. It's a labyrinth designed to lose you. If you say a high number, an alarm goes off in her head. She might laugh in the moment, but she just cataloged you as a womanizer. If you say a low number, the alarm is different but just as harmful. She will start to doubt your value. In both cases, you have lost. You have given her ammunition against you. The truth is, she doesn't care about the number. What interests her is to see how you respond to the pressure of her question. Does she want to test your frame, your security? Do you get nervous? Do you justify yourself? Or do you remain self-controlled, master of the situation? And here, I want to pause and ask you a question directly. There are two main ways to dodge this question. I want you to vote in the comments. Which answer seems to project the most power and control? A, the mysterious answer with a touch of humor. B, the direct answer that discredits the question. Write A or B in the comments and briefly explain your choice. I want to see which strategy men who really understand this game prefer. While I read your strategies, I tell you that the master stroke is not to lie. It's to deflect with elegance. An A-type answer like, I've had enough. Experience to know exactly what I'm looking for. Projects experience and high standards. A more direct B-type answer like, my past does not define our future. Establishes a serious frame. Both are valid, but the key is to never give a number. This leads us directly to the second minefield. Money. What do you do for a living? Are you doing well? Another seemingly trivial question. A simple conversation, but which is actually a deep evaluation. And here the same mistake, being too specific. If you earn little, she may consider you limited. If you earn a lot, her expectations can soar. And you become a kind of ATM. Machiavelli warned princes never to reveal the exact size of their treasure because the perception of power influences more than actual power. She doesn't need to know the account balance. She needs to feel that you are a man with a clear direction. Instead of giving a number, give a vision. I'm doing well. Enough to take care of my own, and I'm focused on building something much bigger. Ultimately, your romantic past and your money are just data. But in the game of attraction, data are weapons, and a strategist never gives his weapons to the opponent. We talked about protecting your value, but there is something even more intimate and dangerous to reveal. The scars others have inflicted on you. In the next segment, I will explain why recounting how you were betrayed in the past is the mistake that transforms you in her eyes from a warrior into a victim. And victims, my friend, no one desires. As I announced, there is a trap that makes a promising man look like a charity case in a woman's eyes, detailing how other women betrayed you in the past. I perfectly understand why we do this. It's almost instinctive. We believe that by opening that old wound and saying my ex cheated on me or they used me for my money, we are vulnerable in a way that generates trust. We think she will see our honesty, feel empathy, and tell herself, I'm not like them. I would never do that to him. This logic seems sensible on the surface, but it is one of the worst strategies you can adopt. You hand over your power to her on a silver platter. Believe me when I tell you this. The compassion she might feel at that moment is fleeting, but the doubt you plant is permanent. In the court of attraction, you do not present yourself as an honorable survivor. You present yourself as a victim, and in a woman's genetic code, attraction to victimization is virtually nil. Instead of thinking, poor guy, how much he suffered, her subconscious, that animal and brutally honest part that governs desire, wonders, why did they betray him? If these women didn't respect him, if they didn't value him enough to be faithful to him, what did they see that I don't see yet? Is there a weakness in him that makes him easily disposable? She won't tell you to your face, of course. She'll pat you gently on the back, but the seed of contempt is already planted. You have changed the frame of the relationship. You are no longer the prize, the solid man she seeks to conquer. You have become a repair project. And a woman may love renovating a house, but she doesn't want to have to rebuild her man. A strategist like Machiavelli would never advise a prince to whine in public about the conspiracies he suffered. Can you imagine a king telling his subjects how his generals betrayed him? He would immediately destroy morale and the perception of his power. On the contrary, the cunning prince learns in silence from betrayal, strengthens his defenses, eliminates threats without making a fuss, and projects an even more unshakable image than before. He transforms the wound into a lesson in power, not an anecdote to elicit pity. Your past is exactly the same. The betrayals you have suffered are war medals that have made you stronger, wiser, more selective. You wear them in silence and dignity. You do not display them like bloody rags. If the subject comes up, if she asks about your past relationships, the strategy is not to lie. It's to redefine. Don't talk about the pain. Talk about the lesson. Instead of saying, she cheated on me and broke me, say something like, that experience was essential for teaching me the value of true loyalty. Thanks to it, I know clearly today what I won't tolerate and what I look for in a companion. Do you see the gulf of difference? In the first case, you are the man who was hurt. In the second, You are the man who used the fire to forge himself. Your story belongs to you. Every betrayal, every blow is a step, but only if you choose to use it to climb, not to sit and cry over it. By sharing the drama, you invite her to see you as fragile. By sharing the wisdom gained from the drama, you invite her to admire your strength. We have armored your mind, your value, and your history. The castle seems safe. But what about the enemy living inside the walls? What about the battles you are fighting against yourself? In the next chapter, we will address the most intimate and dangerous secret of all, the map of your current weaknesses, and I will explain why handing over this map is like giving her the key to your destruction. We have already protected your mind, your value, and your history from external perceptions. We have one last stronghold to defend, the most vulnerable of all, because the enemy resides within. And this, my friend, is the secret that separates respected men from those who end up being pitied. The fifth and final secret is the most intimate and therefore the most devastating to reveal. Never confess your structural weaknesses, those internal struggles and character flaws that you have not yet overcome. I'm not talking about having a bad day. I'm talking about those raw truths that define you in your current state. Phrases like, I lack discipline, I always start things without ever finishing them, I can't control myself with food or alcohol, I'm too lazy to pursue my goals, or I feel like I don't control my own life. These are not confessions of vulnerability. They are admissions of powerlessness. It's like opening the gate of your castle and showing the invader that your guards are drunk and asleep. The urge to share this comes from an understandable place. You seek absolution. You want her to say, don't worry, I love you as you are, or to make her your ally in your war against yourself. But in doing so, you commit a fatal mistake, confusing her role. She is your wife, your companion, your lover. She is not your therapist, nor your coach, and certainly not your mother. At the precise moment you hand her the map of your unresolved flaws, the power dynamic implodes. She might instinctively, to protect you, take on a caregiver role. She will start helping you, monitoring you, asking you if you went to the gym, if you controlled your spending. And even if her intentions are good, you have just murdered sexual polarity. You have ceased to be the man who guides and protects her to become a project, one more child to manage. And be brutally honest with yourself. A woman may feel deep love for her son, but she will never feel sexual desire for him. Desire requires admiration, and it is impossible to admire a man who is not master of himself. The philosophy of a strategist like Machiavelli rests on a fundamental principle. To govern a state, you must first have absolute control over your own domains. A prince who cannot quell rebellions in his own palace does not have the authority to conquer new lands. You are the prince of your life. Your weaknesses, your addictions, your indiscipline, these are your internal rebellions. Your duty is not to go crying to the queen about the chaos in your apartments. Your duty is to close the door, to fight that bloody war in private, and only emerge from that room when the rebellion is crushed and order is restored. The work is done in the shadows so that the results shine in the light. You don't say, I'm trying to stop procrastinating. One day, she notices that your business is growing, that you wake up earlier, that you keep your word. You don't tell her, I want to get in shape. Simply, over the months she sees your body change. Actions are the only language of true power. Respect is not requested. It is imposed by the silent example of self-mastery. A scar is a story of victory. An open wound is a sign of current weakness. Learn to tell the difference between the two. You can tell her how you overcame a difficulty in the past, because that is part of the scars, but never, ever show her the wound that is still bleeding. Now, you understand. These 5 secrets are not there to encourage lying or falsity. They concern the strategic management of power, mystery, and respect. They explain that the most powerful attraction does not come from confession, but from mastery. With this knowledge, you are no longer just a player in the game. You have the manual. In the final part, we will assemble all the pieces so that you not only understand the rules, but become the master of the board. The pattern is clear. It's not about lying, but about controlling the narrative. Your power does not lie in what you confess, but in what you protect with discipline. A man who masters himself does not need to ask for respect. He imposes it in silence. Subscribe to continue refining your strategy, and now help another man. Write the best power advice you've learned in the comments. Let's transform this section into a manual for those who know how to play. See you at the top.